Hello and welcome to another episode of Ash Recaps. Today, I'm going to recap a family comedy holiday special movie from 2003 called Elf. Spoilers ahead. Watch out, relax, and enjoy the video. This all-time favorite Christmas classic movie begins with a Papa Elf telling the audience about the life of an elf and the marvelous work they do. He explains how they work day and night making toys for the exciting date we all know and love. Curiously though, gnomes and trolls have attempted to help in the toy-making craft, whereas humans have never stepped foot in Santa's workshop until 30 years ago, and that's from where our story begins. We are then shown an orphanage where a baby is getting tucked in by one of the caretakers on Christmas Eve. Santa then comes through the chimney and is about to do his thing. Leaving presents and such. However, the baby wasn't asleep at all and is absolutely enthralled by the sack of gifts. Somehow he gets out of the crib and creeps into the sack without Santa noticing. As soon as Santa finishes delivering presents, he returns to his home at the North Pole where the other elves await his arrival. As soon as he gets there, he excitedly announces that it's time to start preparations for the next Christmas, but when he notices the sack is moving, he realizes that he has accidentally brought a foster kid along with him who he decides to name Buddy. Though at first he was a little unsure about what to do, he remembers he is a pushover for babies and accepts him into the elven family with Papa Elf serving as the adoptive parent. Fast forward 30 years later, Buddy is all grown up and unaware that he's human, though it's rather obvious as he stands out from his community, giving his enormous size in comparison to the elves. Having said that, his height wasn't the only thing that differentiated him from his elven peers. You see, elves have incredibly fast hands, which helps them prep all the presents for the nice kids in time for Christmas. But again, he doesn't have a clue. Given his human nature, Buddy lacks those impressively fast hands and is unable to make the 900 edge of sketches he is required to make during his shift, falling astoundingly short in relation to the elves. Poor Buddy. He then proceeds to harshly insult himself and proclaiming himself to be a talentless elf, otherwise known as cotton-headed ninny muggings. Sounds kinda rough. A few moments later, after getting demoted for being a particularly slow elf, Buddy overhears conversation that clearly wasn't meant for his ears as the other elves discuss that he should already know that he's actually human. He then decides to meet with Papa Elf, who knows him better than anyone else, to find out more about his human origins. Their Papa Elf explains that he should have known about this a long time ago, but he never had the courage to tell him. He then proceeds to recount the story of how he arrived at the elven community and who his parents really are. Apparently, his mom put him up for adoption right before she died, while his dad, Walter Hobbs, is a children's book publisher who lives in New York and is unaware of Buddy's existence. Buddy then decides to pay one of his friends a visit and asks if he knew about his human origin, which he not so light-heartedly replies with, "You're 6'3" and had a beard since you were 15? Buddy then tells him that he plans to go to New York to give his father the good news about his brand new 30-year-old son that was raised by elves. Just before he embarks on his adventure, he visits Mr. Claus, who confesses that Walter is actually on the naughty list, which traumatizes Buddy, but he remains as adamant as ever about meeting his dad. Buddy sets off on his quest and leaves for New York, while he rides a little piece of an iceberg and visits all sorts of strange lands before he finally makes it into his destination. Once there, he discovers all the wonders the Big Apple has to offer before meeting his estranged father. Buddy then heads to his main quest, visiting the Empire State Building where his dad works. He proceeds to enter his dad's office as Buddy finally comes face to face with the very man that gave him life, who confuses him for a random caroler and asks him to sing.
"I'm here with my dad, and we never met, and he wants me to sing him a song."
Well, that's kind of awkward. After showing an overwhelming and a little concerning amount of excitement, he gets escorted out of the building by security, but his motivation remains untouched. If only we all could be half as hopeful as this guy. Seeing as he has nowhere to go, he heads to a department store and discovers all sorts of things like escalators, perfumes, and even lingerie. At the store, he gets confused for a working elf and gets sent to the kids' corner where they can take pictures with Santa and his companions. However, he doesn't get the chance to once again meet Santa Claus himself. Instead, he comes across with Jovi, who is just another worker that has captured Buddy's eyes. He strikes up conversation with Jovi, who at first attempts to send him away, but finds herself a little smitten over his peculiar enthusiasm. Eventually, the store closes, but Buddy stays behind and beautifully decorates the entire area with Christmas ornaments throughout the night. That very same night, Walter has dinner with his wife and his younger son Michael. At home, he is also completely dedicated to his work and hardly pays any attention to the family. But this time around, his mind is elsewhere. He excuses himself from the dinner table and looks at a photograph of his past love, Buddy's mom. Finally coming to terms that he might actually be his son, but is avoiding the reality. The next morning, Jovi shows up at the store a little earlier where she takes a shower. Given that her water has been shut off, she sings in the shower and Buddy overhears her, further enchanting him as he confesses that her voice is one of the loveliest voices he has ever heard. She is thankful but cuts the interaction short, which Buddy takes as a cue to try to take a nap. A few hours later, the busy streets of New York start filling up with Walter spotting Buddy sleeping right in the middle of the windows of the department store. He embarrassingly walks away, but Buddy decides to personally give him a package in which he expresses his love for his uninterested father. Unfortunately, as soon as he arrives, he is once again escorted by security. He again decides to turn to the department store where his presence is required as one of the Santa's elves, but he is then forced to work along with Santa, which he gladly does until he finds out it's actually an impersonator and not the man he knew in the North Pole. Although fake Santa insists that he's real, but he takes it upon himself to unmask him, removing the fake beard right in front of the children. Consequently, a fight between the two breaks out and Buddy gets fired from his elf job at the store and is sent to jail. There he decides to call Walter in hopes that he could bail him out, which surprisingly he does. Looks like he does have a heart after all. He hopes to figure out whether or not Buddy is actually his kid. He takes him to the doctor's office to get a paternity test done. Buddy is curious and super excited about everything and is unable to sit still. He's able to calm himself down once he realizes that the doctor is frustrated at him and does as he is told. A few moments later, Walter asks about the test results, and it is revealed that Walter is indeed Buddy's father. In the next scene, Walter tells his wife about the brand new addition to their family, who takes it surprisingly well and is even excited about the prospect of bonding with Buddy. Walter tries to warn her that his kid isn't actually what she will expect him to be, but she is not having it, however. Upon meeting him, she realizes that Walter was telling the truth. At the dinner table, Buddy asks for maple syrup for his spaghetti and is not shy about pouring an entire bottle on his plate. Walter and his wife have a private conversation, and they decide they can't just throw him out on the street. The next day, Buddy excitedly waits for Michael, his younger brother, to be released from school so they can spend some time together. At first, Michael is embarrassed about his eccentric brother, but he doesn't get much time to act on it as they get bombarded by snowball attacks. Little did the attackers know that Buddy has quite some experience with snow and is in fact an expert snowball fighter. After witnessing his impeccable snowball skills, Michael immediately forms a bond with Buddy and they decide to spend the afternoon together. During their hangout, Michael encourages Buddy to ask Jovi out on a date. Although Buddy has no clue about how to ask someone out on a date, but he does it anyway though. Jovi accepts, and they agree to meet each other at some point during the week for dinner. The following morning, Walter takes Buddy to his office and has him completely change his attire. Since Buddy was being extremely noisy, Walter has him go down to the mailroom, telling him that it's exactly like Santa's workshop. Of course, Walter doesn't have to tell him twice before Buddy is beating off. Surprisingly, Buddy makes quite a few friends at the workshop, accidentally gets drunk, and becomes the life of the party. Walter isn't too big on this, but according to him, anything is better than spending time with your estranged son. At night, Buddy and Jovi meet for their date, and as expected, they had a blast. They go for coffee, spin on rotating doors, go ice skating, and they even get to kiss. The next day, Miles Finch, a top-notch writer that could save Walter's company, shows up at the office, and Buddy accidentally says some offensive stuff that gravely upsets him. Walter has finally had enough of Buddy and kicks him out of his life. Before he departs, Buddy leaves a note for Michael telling him about his departure from the family home. Once Michael was done reading the note, he sets out on a hunt for his father to tell him how much he sucks. This makes Walter reconsider the entirety of his life as he decides to leave the office to go find Buddy along with Michael. Later, we see Buddy walking aimlessly in the park until he encounters his lifelong friend Santa. Apparently, Santa is having some slight problems and can't make the reindeer fly unless the Christmas bird is alive. He tells Buddy that he needs an elf's help, but Buddy disappointedly responds that he's a human and won't be able to help. Of course, Santa is not having any of it and encourages him to assist. Meanwhile, Walter and Michael find Buddy, and upon their encounter with Santa, their Christmas bird has lifted, which of course serves as fuel for the reindeer. Once Mr. Claus explains a slight situation to Michael, he grabs Santa's book of presents and takes it to a local news station in order to keep the Christmas bird alive. Jovi, on the other hand, tries to help out by singing iconic holiday tunes while others join her, lifting hundreds upon hundreds of spirits. This in turn gives the reindeer enough fuel to finally fly away as the entirety of New York witnesses the event, and the movie ends here. Later, during an epilogue, it is revealed that Buddy and Jovi ended up being together, and they also had a baby, and they do visit the North Pole from time to time. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, then give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. If you like to watch more videos like this, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to turn on notifications. We'll see you with another amazing video soon. Take care and goodbye.